In this video, we will be looking at how to set up Azure Functions integration for traffic monitoring. This is going to use TypeScript as a language for the examples. As you can see, the client is going to give a request to the Azure function, and simultaneously an OTLP span will be created and sent to the Astra traffic collector with the request and response attributes. So the prerequisites that are expected to have is an access to Azure Functions in Azure Cloud and the Azure Functions extension part of the Visual Studio Code data installed. So the first step is to set up the receiver, OTLP HTTP receiver in Astra Traffic Collector. You have two options. Option 1 is the development testing, which is just HTTP in secure communication, and option 2 is HTTPS, that is recommended for production. So in case of HTTPS, you need to mount two files onto the receiver. That is your cert file and key file. Let's go to the Azure Traffic Collector. So in this section, we will be looking at how to enable HTTPS receiver in your Azure Traffic Collector. As you can see, I am using Let's Encrypt to generate my private key and certificate to enable HTTPS. So fullchain.pem and private key.pem are the certs and keys. So let's go to our directory. So here I have mounted the fullchain.pem and private key.pem in two files. The first file should be your Docker compose file. So in here you will have to mount your home location first in this line, fullchain.pem, to HCSSL, and then your domain, and then again your fullchain.pem, the exact file which is here, and the permission which is displayed here. Same thing goes for the private key.pem. And now since you have mounted them using your Docker compose file, let's use them in our receiver as well. So you will have your config custom.yaml. So there as well you need to enable TLS section here, and under cert file and key file add the exact same thing which you mounted on your Docker compose file. So this value here, right here, is the right hand side value, that is the path inside the container of the collector. So once this is done, Docker compose up -d, Docker ps, you have your collector up and running. So now your collector is successfully set up with secure communication. Now that we have set up HTTP receiver, now that we have set up HTTPS receiver in our Astra Traffic Collector, let's go to the next steps. Let's go to the Astra dashboard. Let's press connect on Azure Functions. Connect. Continue. Write a note. Continue again. And here is the sensor ID. Please copy it and keep it safe so that you will be requiring to use this in the next few steps. Let's go back to help doc. Now the step 2 is to install dependencies. Since we are using TypeScript, and to install dependencies we would need to use npm install to install the dependencies. Let's press copy. Now we need to run the below commands on your terminal in Azure Functions project directory to install the dependencies of OpenTelemetry SDK and Azure Functions. So here we are in the Azure Functions directory. Let's paste. Yes, we are done installing the dependencies. Step 3 is to configure your instrumentation code. Now let's copy this code snippet and navigate back to the directory of our Azure function. So this is my directory of my Azure functions, that is my source functions and HTTP trigger one. Let's paste it here. Let's see the next steps. We'll have to update two things. That is, one is sensor ID and the next is collector URL. Collector URL is the endpoint of your Astra traffic collector. It could either be HTTP or HTTPS. If your traffic collector is configured as HTTPS, your URL should be in HTTPS. And paste the sensor ID where you copied, previously copied. And here you will go something like this is. So in my case, my collector URL is this HTTPS 4318 v1 traces. Let's go down. Here, app.http function is the function handler of Azure Functions. With telemetry, function takes care of the instrumentation. It's a best practice not to fiddle with any of the function code above of with telemetry, as we have carefully taken care of this code that is required for our integration to take place. Next, for our use case, execute the business logic here before the with telemetry and pass these three things without fail, that is status code, response headers and response body. For the sake of example, I'm going to keep my response body as message OK and content type as application JSON and custom header as custom value. Let's save it. And make sure to add your sensor ID as well. And after you're done adding the sensor ID, right click on the project directory and deploy the function app. Here you can see in the Azure console that your Azure function from local has been successfully deployed to your remote. Let's test the function. So let's do a post method or a get method. Let's do a get and run it. So here successfully you get message OK. So here in the Astra dashboard, you can successfully see that there has been a call of the Azure function. And this is the exact same URL that we hit. To cross verify, let's go to the function again and click on get function URL. So here the URL says test function astra.azurewebsites.net and the path is API/HTTP trigger1. And let's just cross verify with the Astra dashboard. Yes, that's the same thing as what we have received.